Hey everyone, it is Trey with OCD for OCC. I'm going to show you how I make my bags. Now, with all projects, I assume, they usually are tweaked and they evolve, much like my bags. I've went from the small top drawstring bags that I first started making, which I will show you, two of them. This was one that I had started out making. It is the drawstring on the top. As you can see, this one's kind of small. It's like it's almost like a sandwich bag, but a little bit wider. So obviously you can't fit, all your school supplies in. You could fit a small notebook and a pack of crayons, of course. I don't know if a pencil can go this way long or not, but that is one example of my first ever drawstring bag. And of course it closes with a drawstring, and then you can carry it by the drawstring. This is a different size one, obviously a lot bigger. Would be useful for things that possibly if you had a box that had a soccer ball or a pair of shoes for older child. This would work really good because the shoes would fit, the soccer ball would fit, and this is a double drawstring on the top. So that would definitely work for bigger items. So I have made them in all different sizes. Not really particular about my measurements at all. I don't like to measure, I guess. So this tutorial is going to leave out measurements. I'm very sorry, but I just go with what looks to be the size I want. But they have gotten a little bit bigger. Now, this is fabric that I'm going to choose to show you how to do this bag today. I'm not sure how much fabric it is. It's probably like a meter. It's quite big. You definitely won't need a meter. You can make a good sized bag out of a quarter of a meter of fabric. Oh, and this is the evolution of my bag. So I went from a top drawstring to a better size bag with handles to carry. And you can also get a nice closure with adding a snap in the middle. I believe I got that from Denise from D. Rogers. I seen that she added a snap to one of her bags, and I thought that was really nice idea, just to help keep them closed when they're carrying things. So this is my evolution. This is what I'm sticking with now. A nice size bag. I'm pretty sure this could fit a full-size notebook in, plus all their school supplies. Probably everything in their box actually could go in this size bag. So this size bag is, I will measure it for you. It is almost 11 inches across and almost 13 inches high. So yeah, I don't really, it's not definitely an equal measurement. If you want to get close to this size, you can go by that measurement. I would add at least another inch for the width, and I would add how many inches is this? Yeah, it's about almost one, over one, and I would add 2 inches in your length. So your fabric, when you cut it, for example, say this is the size bag you want. I just folded it in half. You would have to cut it long ways. So your bag, your main part of your bag is all one piece of fabric. So it's going to be longer than it is, longer in length than width. So your width is how wide you want your bag. Your length is how long you want your bag, but it's doubled because step 2 of sewing, no, it's not step 2. You ultimately flip it this way, and then it's sewn together. So whatever length you want your bag, it is doubled when you cut your fabric lengthwise. And then the handles get cut out as well. And the handles, I actually did get off a YouTube video. I forget where I seen it. I forget who had the tutorial, but it's a really easy way to make the handles. They measured them at about 25 inches long and by 5 inches wide. So I'm going to get as close as possible to that just to show you how you do your handles as well. All you need is your fabric, and I use clips, your cutter, your cutting mat, and your cutting ruler, and of course your sewing machine and thread. I usually coordinate my thread, but as this is the last bag I made actually a couple weeks ago. I used to just coordinate it with the main color, but this one I did purple to match the purple in the, so it does show up. So if this is your first bag, you might not want to see your sewing shown up, but mine's evolved quite decent. Definitely not perfect, but it adds a little pop of detail to your bag. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this fabric to the size bag I want. I will measure it and give you the measurements for this bag I'm making. Another tip I will add when making a bag, and I have figured it out, or I realized it early on, if you want this to go as fast as possible, and if with efficiency in making them, choose a fabric that has, if you're using a pattern, choose one that the pattern is right side up, upside down, like this one. So you don't have to worry about one side of your bag being upside down. It's a little extra step to do if you have a pattern you want to use that's one way. You do have to cut you do have to cut once you cut out your bag, you have to cut it in the middle and then flip them together, right sides together, so that one is upside down and one is right side up, so that when you reflip it right side out, they would be the same way on each side of the bag. So just a little tip I have learned making bags. That is an extra step if you have a pattern that is only going one way. Not a huge extra step, but it is an extra step. And this is what happens when you have cats. Pixie, Appy, thank you. Okay, so I have it cut out. Now, this is what it looks like. This is about 13 wide by 15 in length. You want your length to be have that extra 2 inches because eventually you have to fold each top down and sew and make a type of hem. I have my handles cut out. They are 20 inches long by 5 inches wide. And we will start with the bag. So, as you can see, I had folded it and cut it. So this is half. So what you're going to do, this is where I bypass a step and using an iron because I've come to learn how to do it without an iron. You are going to sew 2 edges along here on each edge. So you're going to take this, and usually people will iron this down. You can if you want, but I have been pretty good with eyeballing it as I'm sewing it. So you're going to sew down one side like that, and then the other side the same thing. You're going to go all the way from top to bottom. You're going to sew the 2 edges and make a hem. Okay, so I did sew edges on both sides of the long part all the way down. Now what you have to do is on both ends you're going to fold this down about an inch, as straight as you can make it. And I do pin this or clip this part just so I sew it straight. And you're going to do the same for the other end, and I always just flip this up and match it like this, and then pin that side end. And then what you're going to do is that you're going to sew on the bottom here, and I actually also do a top stitch too. So all along here on both ends. Okay, so now our tops are hemmed. So this is what the inside looks like. I just went all the way across, top and bottom, to both, and I line them up to match. I don't think they're probably more than an inch actually. It's about an inch from seam to seam. So yeah, it's almost an inch and a half that I used, so roughly. So now we're going to set this piece aside and work on our handles. Now, these are definitely an extra step. You don't have to do handles. You can always just put a drawstring through the bag. So 20 by 5. What we are going to do now, when I learned how to do this, I used an iron at first, but I have exceeded past using an iron. You definitely can, but you really don't have to. So we're going to fold this in half. So this is going to be one of our handles. We're going to do this for both. So we're going to fold it in half. It doesn't have to be perfect either, but, and I'm going to just clip that. No, I'm not going to clip it yet. Try to get it a good crease. Now here you would naturally iron. If you want to use an iron, you would iron that down so that you have this middle crease, and then you're going to open it up. You see you have that middle crease. You're going to take one side and you're going to fold it right at the crease. And you're going to, if you were using an iron, you would iron that down. I'm going to just pin it. And then you're going to bring this piece to match, sort of. Maybe I cut crooked. Looks like I cut crooked. And then, so this is to avoid all seams and all raw edges. And then once you get those folded beside each other, you're going to fold this again and then clip or pin. And then once you have this clipped nice and even together, that's going to be what one of your handles looks like. And you're going to, this one's a little bit narrow, but that's okay. Now you're going to sew all the way up, over, and down, all the way to the outside, all the way around. So we're going to sew here, here, up, and down. And you're going to do the same thing for your other handle. Fold in half. If you want to make your handles wider, you definitely can. This is like, yeah, it's about an inch width. So you just need to adjust your width for your handle. Fold them like that. Try to get a little bit of a fold down so that it doesn't move. And then fold them together and clip or pin. See, you really don't need an iron. It would make it a little bit easier, I guess, but that for me, it requires a little bit more space, and I'm really limited on space. Even though my iron board is one of those mini ones, it's just an extra step. Now, both handles are ready to sew. So you're going to do both. You're going to sew all the way around them. Okay, now our handles have been sewed, like so. All the way around the edge. Both of them. So now we need to sew them onto the bag. So on one side of the top where you have hemmed, you're going to take one strap. It doesn't really matter which way it goes because pattern's all over the place. And you're going to line it up wherever. You don't want it too close to the edge because we're going to sew in front of our original hem here. So anywhere over here. Of course, you don't want it too far in and too far out. So I do about right there. And we're going to pin that. I sometimes try to line up the bottom hem here, the bottom stitch, with the bottom stitch of the, make sure it's straight, of the handle, and then you're going to flip it around like that and try to match it up as best you can. You can measure, of course. I do not. Line it up where you think is good, a good match, and clip. And then you're going to do the same for the other end, for the other handle. What I like to do is line them up like this so I know where they go. You're going to line this up so that it matches the side and top. And then you're going to lift it up and pin it, clip, pin it. And then this side, same thing. I just clip the edges here. Now that they're both clipped, you can double check going like this way too, actually. Fold it down and see that they're in the right position. And then you're going to sew each end. You're going to make a box. You're going to go this way, this way, this way, this way. And then when you come back to here, and then what I like to do is put an X in the box just to make it more secure of a handle. So once you get back up to here, you're going to angle your fabric and you're going to go down this way to meet this corner as best you can. Trust me, it doesn't have to be perfect. And trust me, mine are nearly ever perfect. And then you can either go this way over here to make this X, or you can go back up here and do it that way. So you're going to do that for all 4 handle pieces. Okay, so hemmed the handles on. This is the inside. So on the outside, it's going to show. So usually I would do a thread color that would kind of hide it, but I went with blue just to see. I'm not perfect. Actually, that box is pretty good. Yeah, see, there you go. I'm not perfect. So now that both of your handles are attached, you're going to line it up inside out. So nice fabric, nice vibrant side on the inside, and you're going to line it up and I have actually done this without clipping it, but this fabric's kind of folded at spots, so I'm going to go ahead and clip it. So you're going to line it up with the top. Sometimes it's better to shake it out a little bit there. And you're going to clip that together. And we are going to sew from the very top, all the way down to the bottom. So we're going to sew the ends, technically the sides, but we're going to sew these together. And it's always a good idea to sew inside your original stitch here, so that original stitch won't be showing on the side of your bag. There, now I'm going to stitch both sides down. Okay, I've sewn my edges. So now all we got to do is flip it right side out. Get the corners pushed out nice. And there is our bag. This is actually a pretty good size. And for reference on size, here's one of the Hilroy Spiral 80-page notebooks. Definitely fit one of those in there. This is a half-page homemade notebook. Definitely fit that in there. So yeah, good size, good size. So this one, measuring, what was it, 13 by 15, it came out as just almost 12. Yeah, 12 by a little over 14, almost 14 and a half. So that's actually a really good size. And the straps are a good length. It can be finished now if you like, but if you want to add a little bit of a closure here, you can use, you can sew on some Velcro, is an idea. I like my snaps. I love this idea for a closure on a bag. Thank you, D. Rogers. What color? Blue. Green. There's too many colors in this fabric. And I definitely don't know what's going to go with this bag. Definitely little cars, for sure. Let's go with the dark blue. So I'm going to add a snap here. And I definitely don't measure the middle. I just kind of line it up to where I think the middle is. Here where that tire is. Snaps are actually a really easy accessory. I absolutely love them. Although I have put on the same backing a few times on the same side, so I had to, they're a bit of a pain to remove, but I use a little clipper and I have removed them to do it right. So there we go. There's our cute little bag with a closure snap. That will definitely fit a full-size notebook, and I'm sure the rest of his belongings. So I hope you had fun watching this tutorial. This is number 2 that I've tried to create. I hope this one's a little bit better than my first one. And we will see you in the next video. Take care and God bless.